Welcome tankers! With the release of Early Access 3, we can finally play PvE mode, or Player versus Environment. You'll notice that the orange button at the top of your screen finally works, and you get a choice of easy, medium, hard, or insane difficulties, but insane doesn't seem to work now, so we will try hard. Now, each mission is actually a set of 3 different mini-missions, or 3 different battles, and you have to win all 3 of them to complete the mission. And in this first one here, we have to defend the down plane, which is in the top left of the mini-map, in the little circle with the X in it. And then we also have to destroy 3 surface-to-air missiles, and those are in the highlighted circles, and we just destroyed one a few moments ago. It was the big missile-looking thing with the shining white outline. So the things you have to destroy are usually outlined, and there's usually circles telling you where you have to go or what you have to do. And make sure people have a habit of going back to the garage and playing another game as soon as they die, but do not do that, because there could be 1 or 2 more battles you have to play, and if you leave, your team will be undermanned. And that was the second of the 3 surface-to-air missiles we have to destroy, so we're well along our way of finishing the secondary mission. And in PvE mode, in hard mode here, if none of your teammates are lit and you come across an enemy tank, he will usually turn and fire at you right away. Although sometimes the tanks kind of ignore you, although that's usually when one of your teammates is lit and his attention is on him. So this is really the killer app for Armored Warfare. This mode is a great addition to the game. In World of Tanks and Armored Warfare, they're fairly hard games, and it takes thousands of battles before people are good enough to even average 1 kill a game. So it's nice to have a mode where even beginners can go out and get a ton of kills. It's far more exciting than playing a whole game and, only scoring 1 hit. So this is a really nice change of pace, and if you like to get right up into people's faces and brawl, you will love this mode, because it is fast-paced and exciting, and yeah, there's not a moment to sit back and hide or camp. You have to be pushing forward and playing aggressively the entire time. So it's a great addition. This is a wonderful mode, and people are going to really enjoy it. And I don't know why each mission is actually 3 separate battles. They could easily make it just 1 battle. And it's such a shame. I should tell you about the last battle I had last night. Was by far the most exciting game probably anyone has ever had in Armored Warfare, and I can't show you the video because they shut the server down about 1 minute before the battle was over, and that caused my game to crash, which caused my screen capture software to crash, which corrupted my video file, and it was such a shame because in the first battle of the 3, my team, which was myself and 1 platoon of 4, well, my team all died early, and I was 1 on 10 to finish the first mission, and not only that, but I was ammo racked and half my crew was killed, and I did it, and it was one of the most exciting, nail-biting conclusions to a battle ever. And then, during the second battle, several of my teammates crashed, and I learned right before the third battle started that they couldn't get back into the game because the server was shutting down. They crashed out and the server wouldn't let them back in. So we had to start the third battle with only 2 tanks, and this was, of course, on hard mode. So we were like 2 on 30-some enemy tanks. And somehow we managed to do it. We cleared the entire map, and we were at the point where we were just cleaning up any stragglers. We were searching the areas we'd already been, looking for anyone that was left. There was probably only 1 or 2 tanks left to kill, and the server went down, and it crashed everything. And oh, what a shame, because that was the most exciting game ever. 1 on 10, and then after doing that, 2 on about 30. And I ended up with 40 or 45 kills in that battle. And by comparison, this was a phenomenal battle, and I had 33 kills. So imagine a game much better than this and much more exciting. And the damn file got corrupted. If they'd only left the servers up for 1 more minute, you would be seeing the most epic video right now. But as it is, that was the first of 3 missions, and we end up with almost 11,000 damage, 8 kills, 8 assists, and we only took less than 600 damage. So now we move on to part 2, and in this mission we have to capture the air base as our primary and then destroy the supplies as our secondary. Now our Bimpy 1 looks like he's going to go off alone, and that is usually not a very good strategy in PvE mode. You'll usually want to stick with all your teammates. Or you might want to send 3 people one way, 2 people the other way, but yeah, you'll pretty much always want to stick together. So I've decided, well, okay, he's on his own, I'm going to go off with the rest of my guys here. So the auto-loading or auto-cannons seem to do fairly well in this game because they have tremendous burst damage. And in the normal game, you're constantly facing tanks from the front, but since these are all bots you're facing, you do often have a lot of shots at their sides and rears, so you'll want to load up mostly AP if you're using an autocannon. Well, pretty much any type of cannon, with the exception of heat. Since heat does tremendous damage, you might want to overload heat as well. So go with heat and and AP and very little high explosive. And you'll notice that a lot of the maps used in PvE mode are just the regular maps, although they've been changed dramatically and they feel completely different. And the lighting is changed on some of them. There's a night mode that looks really cool. So I've found you'll want to stay close to cover, and the bots seem to have difficulty if you zigzag back and forth or keep moving in and out behind cover, well, especially if they're moving, they have to lead you, and it of course will take them a moment to figure out how much to lead you. So if you go forward a bit and then back a bit, they'll have to recalculate where they're going to aim. So I found that works very well, just moving back and forth and constantly moving, because if you sit in one spot, the bots will have a much easier time focusing in on you and hitting you. Plus, of course, they also their attention seems to go to any of your teammates that are closer to them. So you'll want to stay usually to the side or rear of them and try and flank and get as many shots into them while their attention is on your teammates. And of course, you'll only want to expose yourself to as few of the bots as possible. And like here, if I'd rushed forward, about 5 of them could have shot me. So it's much more likely that I'd get shot than if I stayed back where only 1 of them had line of sight to me, and he wasn't even looking at me. So even HE would have, the first few shots there wouldn't have bounced, but you would have done a lot less damage, even though a lot less shots bounce with armor penetrating, we still ended up doing a lot more damage than if we had loaded HE. So as I said, you'll pretty much want to shoot nothing but AP or heat if you have it. Although still, AP is probably the best choice for 90% of each of these PvE missions. And now we still have a couple supplies to go kill. And I've noticed in these battles, you pretty much want to cover the entire map and pretty much go in a giant series of S's through the map till you cover pretty much all the territory. And then that way you'll come across the enemy tanks, not one at a time, usually in groups of 3. Sometimes you'll come across an area and all of a sudden like 6 or 8 or 10 tanks will all of a sudden appear in fairly short order. Or if you cap, it seems like a lot of tanks you missed all of a sudden appear and head towards the cap, so you don't really want to rush out and take the cap. You want to clear the entire map before deciding to take the cap if it's a capture the base type of map. And if it's a defend the base map, you'll usually want to stay fairly close to your base, because people, the enemy bots will just spawn often fairly close to your base and just go and try and take it. So if you've rushed off, all of a sudden you'll find your base being capped by tanks that you didn't think were there. So now I think I will go try and destroy those supplies. Well, it doesn't look like there's very much up here. And then looks like we're getting fairly close to the end of this battle. I think once we get the supplies, we should be able to cap out or just go and kill everyone. I prefer to go kill everyone instead of capping. It's a lot more exciting. So here's one of the few occasions where I will switch to high explosive, because these heavily armored tanks, of course, will bounce almost everything. And in this battle, we ended up with just under 9,200 damage, 10 kills, 10 assists, and only 500 damage taken, and there is the supplies we needed to kill. And now it looks like there's only maybe a couple tanks left that we'll have to go and find. And while my team is capping, and oh, looks like there's barricades there, so you can't go up that way. So now it's just a race. Will I find the final tanks, or will my team cap out? So as you'll notice, this is just the same old map you've been used to, although it looks the same from here, but as you noticed earlier, it looked like it was a completely different map. And of course, just as we find our team caps out, and we've completed mission number 2. So as I mentioned, there are 3 missions you have to complete each PvE mission. And in this one, we have to take over the depot as the primary and destroy the supply trucks as the secondary. There's also a mode that didn't appear in this mission, where basically you have to protect one base for like 5 minutes against an endless series of bots, and then once you've done that, the base moves north about half the map, and then you have to move and defend that one for 5 minutes, and then it does it once more. So it ends up being a really long one, and it isn't in this set of 3 for some reason. And whoops, we hit a friend there and then found a dead end. So let's go back the other way and try and catch up with our teammates. And whoa! I'm drunk, I think. Yep, definitely drunk. And it's nice with all the maps and all the new maps. They've added a lot more foliage and a lot more stuff, barricades and dead tanks and all sorts of cool stuff. And the maps, it gives it a much different feel, and it's much more interesting, and visually it's definitely a lot more interesting too. And this night mode is actually really interesting. The night modes in World of Tanks were absolutely awful, and often you couldn't see anything that was happening. You were just faced with a black screen, and of course it was so bad they stopped using it. But this night mode actually works and looks great. Although your headlights, actually it's probably a pretty good feature. My headlights are actually on here, I believe, but they don't really do very much. Which is nice because they are kind of arresting in normal mode and they're way too bright. But everything looks great here. And there is one of the supply trucks, but unfortunately we cannot hit it. We'll have to go over the hill to go get it. There, you'll see it glowing in a second here. These can be hard to spot sometimes, so you'll have to pay attention to what your secondary is and where it is. And like I said, you want to keep moving pretty much all the time here, and you want to be aggressive. You want to constantly be pushing forward. And this is one of the few times in the regular PvP battles, if you push forward way ahead of your teammates, you'll usually get killed immediately, but against bots, you'll have much more survivability. So instead of if the normal game promotes camping, this mode does exactly the opposite and promotes aggressive play. So it's very nice. As I mentioned, I like this mode a lot, and it should be the killer app for World of Tanks, because AW is pretty much a clone of World of Tanks as it is, but with this mode it becomes something completely new and different. So if the regular mode is maybe World of Tanks 2.0, or just a bit better than World of Tanks in every way, this mode makes AW a lot better than World of Tanks. They did a great job with the PvE, and people should really love this mode. And you'll notice on the mini-maps that a lot of your mission maps, you'll have a restricted map and you'll only be able to go through about half of the map. Some are restricted and some don't seem to be as restricted as, say, this map here, where you're only allowed to go through a thin strip down the center. So as you can see, the autocannons are great in this mode. You'll either want a big gun with a lot of alpha or something with a ton of DPM. Although, unfortunately, the AFVs and lighter armored tanks that have the autocannons often tend to have 0 armor and low hit points, so they are great for their guns and the DPMs, but you also have to be very careful that you don't get killed, because some of these tanks, 3 hits might be enough to kill you, and each battle takes quite a long time and you have to kill a lot of tanks. So you have to be very careful in conserving your hit points, because you do not want to die early, or else your team is going to be in a lot of trouble. So it's a trade-off. Do you want the autocannon with great DPM but a much greater chance you'll die quicker, or do you take a main battle tank with a great gun that'll survive a few bounces but doesn't have the tremendous DPM and probably won't get the tremendous kill numbers that you might get with an AFV? Although I like fast tanks and I love the autocannons, so I'm happy to use the Wiesel here. And how did that guy get behind me when I just cleared that area? But it must be the respawns of all the enemy tanks. And it's nice while the bots are worried with my friends who are taking the base. They've been pretty much ignoring me, and I've been getting all these flanking shots at them. And now the battle should be pretty much over. Once you've got the base, they pretty much send everything they've got at you. So once you clean up all that, it's usually pretty much over. So now there's probably only 1 or 2 more tanks, and this will be PvE missions on hard. So now we'll go and look, see if we can catch. There must only be 1 or 2 more tanks left, and see if we can go get them before my team finishes capping. And oh, what's a pyramid doing there? And one of them appeared from this area, even though I'd already cleared it. And as we go through Donald Trump's comb-over gel repository, and yep, there they are, even though I drove by here just 1 minute ago and didn't see those guys. But we get 1 more kill, and let's see if we can get the final kill here before my team caps. It's probably not looking good. This guy will probably be able to kill me easily, and he does. So we'll just fast forward here until my team caps. And that was 12,000 damage, 15 kills, 5 assists, and 1,100 damage taken, for an overall final score of 33,000 damage, 33 kills, 23 assists. Thanks for watching.